All right, so get this. We're going deep into SIM swapping, crypto heists, all that, but with a twist. This guy, right, pulled off some crazy stuff as a teenager, but then kind of took a whole other path. We're talking like stolen Twitter handles, think thousands of dollars, kids running scams, right from their bedrooms, $1 million heists, and all before turning 18.
Yeah, wild, right?
Wild. So by the end of this deep dive, I think you'll not only get how these schemes work, but also what goes on in the mind of someone who, lived that life.
It's a crazy story, yeah. Shows how something that seems totally innocent online can, lead to some dark places.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning, to Connor Freeman's early days. Just a kid messing around in Minecraft, right?
Totally. But not just, building stuff. He was super into, what was it called?
Griefing.
For
those who don't know, it's basically using the game's mechanics to, mess with other players.
Right, make their lives difficult. Connor talked about this, about getting off on the chaos, using these in-game tricks to destroy what other players built, or just spam in the chat, annoying stuff. He said it gave him this feeling of power. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's a recurring theme in his story for sure. That desire for control. I mean, even in a virtual world.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a sign of things to come.
Yeah, totally. And it didn't take long for this harmless griefing to, evolve.
Right.
Connor starts hanging out in these online forums, learns about social engineering.
Manipulating people, basically.
Yeah.
Into giving up info they shouldn't.
Exactly. And first they used it on, who are they targeting again?
Minecraft server admins.
Yeah, server admin. So he and these other players, they figure out how to trick them into revealing their security questions, and then boom, they reset passwords, take over entire servers.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Total chaos, deleting everything, holding the server hostage, right?
Sounds like a serious power trip.
Totally. And it's a classic example of, how skills learned in one place, even something like gaming, which, seems innocent enough.
Right.
Can be used for, criminal stuff. This was Connor's first taste of social engineering, which we'll see becomes his main tool later on.
Definitely. A key skill.
Okay, so Connor moves on from Minecraft, discovers these underground forums, places where people are buying and selling all sorts of shady stuff, like stolen accounts, credit card info, the works. He was still a teenager, but already knee-deep in this cybercrime world.
Like an apprenticeship almost.
Yeah.
In these forums, he learns about everything.
Yeah.
Refund scams on Amazon, exploiting websites to get free stuff.
He talked about one scam targeting SteelSeries. You could get free headsets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, by faking a return. He was making money, sure, but it's he was hooked on figuring out how to beat the system.
The puzzle, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of puzzles, this is where Connor comes across OG usernames and this thing called the OG user marketplace. Ever heard of it?
Vaguely, maybe. Not really sure what it is, though.
OG usernames, they're these super desirable usernames on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, the short ones, the ones everyone wants.
Oh, right. The one-word Instagram handles or Twitter handles with just, first and last name.
Exactly. And because they're rare, there's this whole market for buying and selling them.
Okay, that makes sense. But something tells me this OG user marketplace wasn't exactly...
legitimate.
Yeah, legit.
You got it. Connor said himself that 95% of the accounts on OG users were stolen.
So how'd he get them? More social engineering.
That and more. Connor used every trick in the book. He'd search these leaked databases for passwords, use social engineering to get phone numbers, even addresses.
It's just
He even talked about calling restaurants, pretending to be someone else, to confirm a reservation, just to get the target's address. Crazy stuff.
So wait, he was basically, what's the term, doxing people?
Yeah, doxing. It's basically finding and revealing someone's personal info online, their name, address, phone number, work, all of it.
Wow. And he used this to steal usernames.
Exactly. He used all that info to get into their accounts, then put them up for sale on OG User. He became pretty well known there, actually.
That's insane. Okay, I'm already seeing how this ties into the SIM swapping thing, but before we get there, what can people do to, protect themselves from being doxxed? It's kind of scary.
Super important question. It boils down to, minimizing your digital footprint.
Yeah.
Be careful what you share online, especially on social media. Avoid stuff like your address, phone number, even your birthday.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that for sure. Oversharing.
Happens to everyone. The other thing is strong, unique passwords for everything. And I don't mean password 1, 2, 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
Use a mix of, upper and lowercase, number, symbols, all that.
And a different password for each site, ideally. It's hard to keep track, though.
Yeah, that's where password managers come in. We'll talk about those later, but they're pretty helpful for that.
Okay, good to know. So, strong passwords, being careful online. What else?
Be careful about links and emails, texts, all that. Phishing scams are getting really good, so anything that seems too good to be true or asks for personal info, be suspicious.
Be vigilant, be paranoid.
Exactly. Can't be too careful online these days. Speaking of careful, let's talk about Connor's next step. SIM swapping.
Right. This is where it gets serious. Goes from usernames to something way more valuable, right? Cryptocurrency. And to get how he did it, we got to understand how SIM swapping actually works.
It starts with social engineering again. So SIM swapping, it's basically how hackers can take over your phone number. They get enough info about you, name, address, social security number, maybe even those security questions, the ones Connor was so good at getting. And they use all that to pretend to be you, call up your phone company.
And convince them to switch your number to a SIM card they control, right?
Exactly.
So they just call and say, hey, lost my phone. Can you switch my number to this new SIM?
Exactly. And once they've got your number, well, they control everything. Your calls, texts, everything. It's like they become you digitally.
That's scary.
It is.
I can see how that would be bad in so many ways. But Connor was using this for crypto specifically, right? The heists.
Right. See, cryptocurrency, it's a big target for these guys because unlike banks, there's no one to reverse the transactions. It's decentralized. So if someone steals your crypto, it's gone.
And Connor knew how to use that. He'd go after people who bragged about their crypto online, especially CEOs and CFOs of those, crypto startups, basically doxing them, right? Getting all the info he could before doing the SIM swap thing.
Yeah, it's almost like he was treating it like a video game, These real people with real money. They become his targets.
He even said which phone companies were easiest to target. Back then, it was T-Mobile, the most vulnerable. And some hackers, they'd actually find security flaws on the phone company websites so they could do these SIM swaps remotely. Didn't even have to talk to anyone.
Shows you how skilled these guys are technically. And the consequences, they're huge. It's not just about the money. It's identity theft, your reputation, even access to your email, social media, all of that.
Okay, so let's say Connor's pulled off the SIM swap, got the victim's number. What happens next? In a typical heist, what's the play-by-play?
Okay, so they have the phone number, which means they can bypass any security that uses, those text message codes. Two-factor authentication.
Right. That code you get when you log in, the hacker gets it now, not the victim.
Exactly. Next, they go after the email account, usually Gmail. Connor was really good at this, using weaknesses in the password recovery or the info he got from doxing to answer security questions.
And once they're in the email, it's over, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Connor talked about how they'd exploit Google's password manager, where Google saves all your passwords.
Yeah, I use that. It's so convenient.
It is convenient, but if someone gets into your Gmail, they get all those passwords too. A single point of failure.
Yeah.
They have the keys to the kingdom.
I never thought of it like that. So they can log into anything, banks, social media, all of it. But in this case, they're after the crypto, right?
Right. So the next step is to find the victim's seed phrase.
Hold on. Can you explain what a seed phrase is? I've heard it, but I'm not sure I really get it.
So a seed phrase, it's basically a list of words that gives you access to your crypto wallets, like the master key to all your crypto. Think of it like the combination to a safe where you keep, your gold or whatever. Someone has that combination, they can take it all.
Okay, got it. Super important to keep that safe. But where do people store them?
That's the issue. People often store them in, not very safe places. Written down, a note on their phone, even worse, a document on their computer.
And Connor knew where to look. He'd go through their emails, cloud storage, Google Drive, Dropbox, even those note apps like Evernote, looking for any mention of that seed phrase.
Yeah, he described it like a treasure hunt, except the treasure was someone else's, life savings. And if they couldn't find it there, they'd get creative. Connor said they'd even search the victims' sent emails, figuring they might have emailed it to themselves at some point.
Wow, the level of detail. So they got the seed phrase. What then?
They use it to get into the victim's crypto wallet, transfer the funds to a new wallet that they control. Just like that, millions of dollars gone.
And because it's crypto, you can't reverse it. The perfect crime, almost.
Almost. There are ways for law enforcement to track them, especially if the hackers mess up, but it's definitely harder than like traditional bank transfers.
So what can people do? I mean, even two-factor authentication isn't enough if your SIM card's been swapped, right?
Yeah. The SMS kind, the text message codes, yeah, those are vulnerable. What you want is an authenticator app, something like Authy or Google Authenticator.
What's the difference?
Instead of a text, these apps make a unique code just for your device. Even if the hacker has your number, they can't get that code. It's much safer.
Okay, good to know. Anything else?
Yeah, never, ever store your seed phrase digitally. Write it down, keep it somewhere safe, like a safe deposit box, and be super careful who you share it with. If anyone asks for it, it's a scam, period. No legit company will ever ask for your seed phrase.
It's like the golden rule of crypto, huh? Guard that seed phrase with your life.
Pretty much.
Okay, back to Connor. You said his biggest score was, what, $2 million from one person? Did he just, like, disappear with all that cash?
Not exactly. Connor's story, it takes a bit of a turn here. He didn't live that lavish lifestyle you might imagine. No fancy cars, mansions, none of that. He was still living with his parents when he did this.
Seriously. So what was he after? If it wasn't the money, what was it?
That's the question, right? He admitted that the money was almost secondary. He was hooked on the thrill of it, the hack, the like outsmarting these people, these systems. He called it a high, this like rush.
So more about the challenge than the reward.
Exactly. But even the best highs, they fade. And for Connor, the come down, it hit hard. He started feeling the weight of what he'd done, the guilt.
So like a change of heart.
It seems that way. He talked about getting out, even looked into like buying citizenship somewhere to avoid the consequences. But those are more like fantasies, you know?
Yeah.
He was stuck in this cycle of hacking and guilt.
And then things started to catch up with him. He found out one of his buddies, a 15-year-old kid, had been caught SIM swapping by his own parents, actually. Got arrested. That must have been a wake-up call.
Big time. He knew his time was probably coming. And it did. Not long after that, he had his own run-in with the law.
Okay, tell me about the arrest. It sounds pretty intense.
It was. He woke up in his bedroom, like straight out of a movie, to a dozen police officers. Yeah, they weren't messing around. They had a warrant for his arrest, you know, because of all the SIM swapping and crypto stuff. It was actually an extradition request from the U.S.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah. Made the whole thing even more, scary.
I bet. Imagine being a teenager and facing, being sent to another country for trial for serious crimes. That's got to be heavy.
Definitely.
So what did he do? Fight it?
He made a surprising choice, actually. He decided to cooperate, surrendered all the crypto he had, which, was around $2 million, in exchange for a possibly lighter sentence. It was a gamble, right? Giving up everything, hoping for leniency.
Sounds like he was really, remorseful, wanted to make things right, or at least try.
There are signs, yeah.
Yeah.
He talked about the guilt, how it had been eating at him for months before the arrest. He even said his first night in jail, it was the best sleep he'd had in years.
Wow, really? I guess it makes sense, though, right? Facing the consequences, even if it's scary, it can bring a sense of relief.
Yeah, I think so. So the legal stuff went on for months. At first, he was facing something like 108 years.
108 years? That's like a whole life sentence.
Yeah, that was the maximum if they added up all the charges. But remember, he gave up all the money, and that probably helped him in the end.
So what happened? What was the actual sentence?
He ended up serving 2 years and 11 months, minus a month, for time served. And in Ireland, where he was, they usually reduce sentences for good behavior. So in total, he probably only did 11 or 12 months.
Still a long time, but way less than 108 years.
Exactly. Shows that cooperating and really being sorry, it can make a difference.
What was prison like for him? Couldn't have been easy.
He said it was fine, which I guess that's about as good as it gets, right? He said it actually helped him in some ways, time to think, grow as a person, spent a lot of time exercising, reading self-help books.
Sounds like he used that time to really think about his past, figure out what he wanted to do next.
Exactly. And get this, after he got out in 2020, he went and enrolled in a master's program in cybersecurity.
Whoa, seriously, from cyber criminal to cybersecurity expert? That's incredible. A real redemption story.
It is. And now he uses his skills to help people protect themselves from the exact kind of stuff he used to do.
It's pretty inspiring, honestly. It shows that even after messing up, people can change. They can learn and use their experiences to do good.
Makes you think about what redemption really means in this, digital age. This guy, he was deep in that cybercrime world, but he got out got an education, and now he's fighting against the very thing he used to be a part of.
So we've covered a lot today. Connor's early days in Minecraft, the crypto heists, the arrest, and now this whole redemption thing. What a journey.
It raises a lot of questions too, like what does this story tell us about the whole cybercrime thing, the good and the bad of it? What can we learn from Connor's mistakes, and how can we, protect ourselves better online?
Right, because this isn't just happening to some random people online. It's real people, real lives.
Exactly. So much of our lives are online now, our money, our info, our relationships. It's more important than ever to, know the risks and protect ourselves.
And that starts with knowing how hackers operate, right? Social engineering, SIM swapping, doxing, those password manager things we talked about. Anyone can be a victim.
It's about being proactive.
Yeah.
Strong passwords, those authenticator apps, thinking about what you share online, watching out for those scams. That's crucial.
And going beyond the basics, remember, if you're into crypto, that seed phrase, keep it offline, don't make it easy for these guys.
And stay informed. Things are changing all the time. Cybersecurity blogs, podcasts, even social media. There's a lot of good info out there.
You don't have to be a tech whiz to be safe online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you do become a victim, don't keep quiet about it. Report it. Might feel awkward, but it helps the authorities stop these guys.
It's see something, say something, but for the internet, right?
Exactly. So to wrap up, I'm curious, does knowing Connor's story change how you think about online security?
For me, definitely. It shows that choices online have real consequences, and that, even people who make bad choices can turn things around. But also, it's a reminder that we have to protect ourselves online. Can't just rely on others. We got to be careful. Got to stay informed.
Well said. Stay vigilant out there, everybody.